Exhilarating air combat, cheesy dialogue, and jeans on the beach. It seems like Top Gun had everything, except a sequel. But 36 years later, we're finally getting that sequel in the form of Top Gun Maverick. The original film released to huge box office success and was influential in defining the 80s. It's one of the movies that pops into your head when you think of that decade, and it launched Tom Cruise into the stratosphere of Hollywood superstardom. So why was there such a long wait for a sequel? There's no hiding the fact that the film industry loves to cash in on any film's success. Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, RoboCop, all movies that decade were getting sequels. So why not Top Gun? Well, the film's influence post-release wasn't as positive as you'd think, being a major factor in an infamous 90s scandal. And when development finally began on a sequel in 2010, thank you! Why did it take until 2022 for Top Gun Maverick to finally get released? In this video, we'll cover all of that and more. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on this because it ended up being a very interesting story. With that out of the way, cue the intro. Top Gun follows the story of young naval aviators attending and competing in the Top Gun flight school. On a $15 million budget, the film was a major success, bringing in over $350 million during its 1986 release. That's equivalent to over $900 million in 2022. The critics felt pretty mixed about it, but everyone praised the air combat scenes, acting performances, and soundtrack. The film went on to win an Oscar for Best Original Song and got nods for Best Sound, Sound Editing, and Film Editing. During a 1990 interview with Playboy magazine, while promoting his new film, Born on the 4th of July, Tom Cruise was asked some questions pertaining to Top Gun and a potential sequel. Cruise mentioned that the studios wanted to do a Top Gun 2, 3, and 4 after the original's release, but he wasn't up for it. He said that because the film was perceived as pro-war propaganda, it just didn't sit right with him. He thought of it as just a fun film that wasn't supposed to be realistic or a way to get more people into the army. But not everyone shared those views. So let's rewind a bit to see where this pro-war view of Top Gun came from. The military had a major involvement in this movie, dating all the way back to 1983, where the ideas for the script were still just being tossed around. This was at a time where films that were coming out criticized the military, such as Apocalypse Now and Rambo First Blood. The military looked at Top Gun as a way to give them a boost, so they fully endorsed it. The Navy had a big influence on script approval, cutting down and altering a few scenes. One key alteration was changing Tom Cruise's love interest in the film to be a civilian contractor rather than an enlisted member of the Navy, as they prohibited mingling between enlisted personnel. The Navy also helped with the production, providing several aircraft, as long as the fuel and operating costs were paid for. They also allowed filming on some popular aircraft carriers. What the military got in return was a glorified recruitment video, or so they thought. When Top Gun released, some theaters even had recruitment booths set up by the Navy. With the film being a hit, the number of young men wanting to be naval aviators went up by 500%. It seemed like a great success, but not everything had worked out as they had hoped for, because the film gave a skewed perception of what it was like to be a naval aviator, which ended up resulting in the Navy pulling out from supporting any sequels. In September of 1991, the 35th annual Tailhook Association Symposium took place in Las Vegas. A yearly convention for US Navy and Marine aviators to meet up and socialize, this year's took a turn for the worst. Although it was the 35th year of this convention taking place, it was far from routine and ended up being labeled as Tailhook 91. But why? What happened? Well, 83 women and 7 men were sexually assaulted by the attending aviation officers, along with other improper and indecent conducts. Some of those assaulted also included fellow female officers. Most of the sexual assaults occurred on the 3rd floor of the Las Vegas Hilton, where a majority of the military personnel were staying. It was described as a gauntlet of male officers groping and molesting women who walked down that 3rd floor hall. I won't go into too much detail as there are many videos and documentaries out there about this event, but just know that it became a huge thing in the media and resulted in major restructuring of the US military with some high-level resignations. This incident also resulted in attitudes and policies towards women officers being changed. Okay, but you're probably wondering, how is this relevant to a Top Gun sequel? This scandal resulted in the military pulling out their support for any sequel because partial blame was put on the original film. Before Top Gun released, Tailhook conventions were pretty tame. The worst thing to happen at them was usually some damage to hotels, and there was barely any women unless some aviators brought their wives or girlfriends. Then Top Gun came out, a film that glorified pilots who were womanizers and heavy drinkers. And each year after that, Tailhook got wilder and wilder. A veteran aviator mentioned, they began seeing all these junior officers, little Tom Cruises, running around in their flight suits. The junior officers honestly believed the Navy was like the movie. And other than the side effect of boosting recruitment, the film turned aviators into superstars, resulting in more women coming to Tailhook each year. All of this combined caused the convention to spiral out of control. So without Tom Cruise or the military support, the idea for a sequel was laid to rest. But this rest wouldn't last forever. So we're going to fast forward a little bit here to allow for some of the past complications and controversies to cool down. But while we're fast forwarding, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video so far. We've got many videos planned and wouldn't want you to miss out. And although no sequels came out since the original Top Gun, there were 13 Top Gun games released between 1986 and 2012. If you want to learn more about that and other weird games based on movies, check out the video we made all about that. Okay, I think we're here. 2010. The idea for a sequel is talked about again. Paramount made offers with the original director Tony Scott and producer Jerry Bruckheimer. The initial idea was that Tom Cruise would only have a minor role in the film, and Scott was very excited to get back into the world of Top Gun, but now with all of the modern aircraft and tech such as drones. But sadly, Tony Scott passed away in 2012 from suicide, putting the film on hold. But Bruckheimer was committed to getting this film made, especially with Tom Cruise now wanting to reclaim his leading role in the film. His involvement would be announced in January of 2016, and the title, Top Gun Maverick, was announced in June of 2017. The long-awaited sequel was finally getting made. Even Harold Faltermeyer returned as a composer accompanied by Hans Zimmer. We even got a release date for July 12th of 2019, but we all know that didn't happen. To allow the production to work out all of the complex flight scenes, in August 2018, the film was delayed to June 26th of 2020. And when COVID wasn't a big deal yet, on March 2nd, 2020, an overly optimistic Paramount brought the film's release date 2 days closer to June 24th, 2020. But then, COVID officially became a worldwide pandemic, and along with many other films, Top Gun Maverick was delayed to December 23rd, 2020. But we know that didn't happen either. The movie was delayed 2 more times due to COVID, scheduling conflicts, and probably some other reasons until it finally arrived at a release date of May 27th, 2022, over 36 years after the original film released. Pretty crazy, right? I thought No Time to Die's delays were brutal, but Mavericks were way worse, especially with that little bit of hope they gave us by moving the release date 2 days up. But with the film finally coming out, we hope this video was able to answer the reason as to why the Top Gun sequel took so long to be made. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video as interesting as we did. It felt like we've been hearing about this Top Gun sequel forever, and I guess it's because we have. But we're super excited for it to finally come out and watch it on the big screen. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe or check out one of our other videos. But until next time, have a good one.